in regards to $250,000, and the comments that are made, it still thinks that we're not doing the industrial park, and we are. And I just don't understand why that some are just grasping it. In the case of comments that were made on this side of the table, and people that voted against the motion the last time, were basically saying, well, you know, there may be a cost savings, but we're not going to replace all these employees. We're not going to put these many people around. Why are we budgeting for that? We're not going to do it. That's what budgeting is about, to budget what you want to spend. A surplus comes from good management, not from over budgeting. So, Mr. Mayor, once again, $225,000, it does not change the scope of work one iota from what we're going to do with that $225,000 in there.
Thank you. Further debate on the question before we move to the question? Councilor Brett, Councilor Tebow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, as I say, it's the same motion with a different twist, but what we're doing is talking about taking money from working reserves. Each year, especially the last couple of years, our city auditors have told us that our working reserves are low. We should be actually putting more money in our working reserves for if something happens down the road, they should be there. We pay them good money for this information. And what we're doing now, we're taking more money out so we don't increase the tax rate by, what was it, 0.5%? Which to me is, we are, again with deferred capital work, we're just prolonging a problem down the road. I think we have to be proactive here, pass this budget as it is. The council and the administration, or the budget steering committee and the administration have worked hard on this budget. We are now playing games, in my estimation, that we shouldn't be. We should be looking at this and saying this is a good recommendation from the budget steering committee, and I wouldn't support this this motion at all.
Councilor Tebow.
Thank you, Your Worship. Like Councilor O'Shaughnessy, I get the point that we need to invest in our industrial park. We had a surplus of $300 and some odd thousand that we put into, that we were to move into reserves. Addressing some of my colleagues' comments is that we are still putting some money into reserve, but we're going to use part of that money to invest in the purchase of the land in the industrial park so that we are ready. And as soon as that land is bought and that somebody is looking to buy it from us with the services put into it, the amount of money will be just like the other money that we have received from sales of land in the industrial park. That money and the additional revenue that might be generated with that money will go into the reserve. So the argument related to we're going to take out of the reserves and that our reserves are going to go down, we're taking a bit of the money that's in the reserves and investing it for the future so that we can have more money in the reserves in the long term. The same way as, you know, you put money in the bank and you take it out every once in a while and you invest it somewhere so that you can make a return on your money on your investment. So when I look at the whole process, now, the original motion of the 9-7 has been defeated. What we have to come up with as a council is an alternative to the 9-7 that is palatable to the group so that you can at least get a vote of 6-4. Okay? My hope would be that with the amended, with the motion that's been presented to amend the original proposal, will give us that little bit of wiggle room that will allow us to pass the budget. Okay? I'm not sure how, you know, it drops it by, what, $75,000 or something, right? Total? I'm sorry, no, more than that. It drops it to a percentage of 154? Which sounds like a good number to me as compared to 9-7. And it does not take anything away from any of the work that is listed in the budget presently that has been approved by the budget committee. The only thing that it does is it takes money for a short period of time and uses it to purchase the land. Okay? And when we sell it, it should be soon, that Councilor Carr was talking about, no, we know that people are gonna be falling all over each other trying to buy land in our industrial park that we don't have any left in there. Here's a perfect opportunity for us to utilize what we have reserves for, to utilize it to invest in our community. And to me, that's a perfect way of dealing with the tie vote that we have presently, and making sure that we have our industrial park land. That you heard me waffle at the budget committee as to whether I was going to support putting that in the budget or not. And this is a great alternative, so I'm going to support the amendment that's presented.
Thank you. Councilor Carr?
Well, Your Worship, I hear, taking money from reserves, and I'm not one that generally supports that kind of activity. And I would ask our Chief Financial Officer, who I don't think has been asked the question, can we afford to take $250,000 from our working reserve?
Ms. Adams?
Through you, Mr. Chair, our working reserves are hovering around $3.5 million. So our working reserves are, in view of our external auditors, low. The reserves for the city overall, including the Progress Fund, are adequate, and we're in a great position. And they will tell you overall, the position for the city financially is very strong. Working reserves, what you draw upon occasionally through the year as items come up, and it's not allowed for in the budget, that's what your working reserves for. You draw from it through that mechanism. We need to keep in mind as well that through the upcoming year, we have taken out the Bob Turner and the Cy Miller, and so we do have the demolition of those two projects. So we have identified specifically for the case of the Cy Miller, we're going to be drawing from reserves potentially, depending on what we're required to do with that project. So no money is in the budget to do with the decommissioning or taking care of the ice equipment and securing that facility in the budget. So when you factor in some of those costs, and you factor in where our working reserves are overall, working reserves are lower than we'd like them to be.
Further to that, Your Worship, it's one thing to take money out of the reserves, the other thing is you have to put them back. And while we have a great reputation, and the council has had it for many years, taking money from reserves, the reputation for putting the money back, particularly in difficult times, hasn't been as good. I know we have an assurance, and it's okay to say, well, we'll put it back when we sell the land. What if we don't sell the land this year? What if the bulk of the money is used for infrastructure in the industrial park? Infrastructure, a new tenant and parking, going to pay for that. They pay for the raw land, and we all know what the price is. It's not something that, well, let's see if we can get 15,000 an acre from this guy and 20,000 from this guy. No, you're happy to sell the land at what the published rate is. But the bulk of this money, I understood, is going to go for infrastructure improvements in the land. Some will go to a land purchase because we don't have land to sell to anyone unless we buy some. Okay, you're going to take the money from reserves. I'm against that principle. I don't think it works because you have to pay it back. And when you're talking about a budget that is less than 1%, look at the counties surrounding us, how cheap it is to go. People live I have friends who live in the counties. They live in the counties because they like country living. Okay? They work and they live in this town. Does it really matter if they live outside of town? I don't think so. I think they still come and work and they spend money in this community. And you look at what the tax rates have happened in our surrounding municipalities. Did any of them have a less than 1% tax increase? I don't think so. Mr. Mayor, I'd ask you, do you know, and I'm coming, did you know of any communities like yours, and you associate with all of them because you're on the AMOF and your responsibilities there, as well as the connections you have throughout Ontario. Do you have anybody who's got a 1% budget?
No.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Gardner?
I think I would repeat something that I heard in the last 4 years, and including this year, on the 7 budget. Actually, ask anyone to go anywhere in Ontario to see where we stack up with it. There's nobody anywhere close to what we've done in the last 4 years. That's number. I agree with Councilor Carr, and I agree with one of the comments from Councilor Grant. Our auditors have told us our reserves are low, very, very low. And the question I would have for you, Mrs. Adams, is if we go from .097 to .054, dollar value, what's the reduction, $12? $13? I'm gonna fool around with a budget for $13. I don't think
It
so.
would be approximately half. We're gonna bring up that list of properties.